Jets up to the 30, the 20, 10, 5. Torrey Horton back to the end zone.
48-yard play. Guess who? Body up the middle, making another move to the outside. 15, 10, end zone again.
Keeps it. Nice move by Brown. He's got space. He's got 6. 35-yard touchdown for Byron Brown. A record-setting night for the South Florida quarterback.
Third down so far. A little bit of a high snap. Genty right up the middle. Genty has room. Ashton Genty. Give him 6.
Second and long. Lagar tries to pin it in. Rose. It does. Rose stays up. The Suns offense 4-3 wheels. Incredible effort for Rose.
The G5 Hive. All G5, all the time.
Welcome to the G5 Hive Live. We are excited to bring you the G5 college football coverage you love each and every week. I am Luke, and I am joined by my co-host, Justice. If you are watching us on X, please hit that like. Sorry. If you're watching us on X, please give us a follow, like, retweet. If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. If you're listening to us in podcast form, please rate and review. Justice. Another week in the books. I mean, it's only been 2 weeks, but it's going by quick.
It's going by super quick.
Savor it while it's here. Had a big day today. Today was my daughter's 4-year birthday, so we did a little family thing. So that's why we're a little bit late. We're fashionably late. I mean, I know it's not my daughter, but she was like a little bit fashionably late getting to bed. So she got all sorts of like princess dress up stuff. Did all sorts of dancing. It was a great time had by all. Enough about me. I want to hear about your experience this weekend. You went to ODU, ECU. You had media credentials. Tell the viewers a little bit about that.
Well, first, happy birthday to your daughter.
Thank you.
It was, I don't know, like it was interesting, I guess. I had a leg pass where I could get on the field if I wanted to. But like the interesting thing I found, like they don't really like tell you like, I don't know, like the do's and don'ts. And so I'm not well versed in any of those kind of things. And so I'm just kind of like sitting back and kind of trying to take things in, right? And kind of feel my way through it, so to speak. I did go on the field, but I didn't go on the field till like way after the game.
You're supposed to go out there for the coin toss and stuff. I don't know what he gave you that message. That you're supposed to do that.
No. Definitely not supposed to do that. I mean, I get the general feeling like they only want you on the field like during the game if you're taking pictures and stuff. And like, I don't know. I just had my phone. All these people got these nice big old cameras. I really didn't want to sit there with my phone, take pictures. But anyway, so I set my season tickets for the game. And so my plan was to go to the post-game press conference. Well, I had like a general idea of where that was. I didn't like know 100% because I'd never been there. And, I figured, hey, it's probably like, 20, 30 minutes after the game, it'll start. So the game ends and my seats are all the way at the top, right against the press box, and takes me a while to get all the way down because it was a close game. People stayed around. And so a lot of people trying to exit down the same stairs, right? So I get down the bottom, go use the restroom, try to find the press conference room. I asked several employees, like they have no clue. They're like, I don't know. I finally called Mike with the Monarchist. He kind of gave me a general idea. And so I opened this door and I found it. And then I went back and told the people that I was asking, I was like, hey, FYI, it's like right here. And so then I walk in the door and Ricky Ronnie's already talking. So I'm like, oh crap, right? Like, it's kind of like the kid showing up late to class. I was quiet. I tried to, shut the door really easy, and I just kind of went and sat down. And I think maybe you can see the full interview on the Monarchist podcast on their YouTube page. But I think maybe he had like 3 questions or so left when I made it in there, and I don't know. I guess I'll leave my personal opinions of how I thought that went to myself. I'm not a football coach, and after just going 0-2, maybe you're not in the happiest of moods, I imagine. But he got done, and they brought in two players. It was running back Aaron Young, who had a nice game actually, and then a linebacker, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name because I don't want to really butcher it, but Koa. And Koa had a nice game too. He had 18 tackles on the day. He started and played for Jason Henderson, who sat out. Ricky Ryan doesn't really talk about injuries. I did ask someone in there if someone asked about Jason Henderson because there's no indication Jason wasn't going to play until literally when I sat down I could see he wasn't playing. Like he wasn't dressed out, and so I think I tweeted it from our account right then. But Ronnie just doesn't typically talk about injuries. He's not going to tip his hand, so to speak. And so they said someone did ask, and basically he just said we'll evaluate that next week. So I have no idea if Jason Henderson is going to play. He tore his ACL late in the season a year ago, like in November, I want to say, like game 10 or so. And so I was shocked he played last week against South Carolina. So I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I learned, hey, I got to get down there like earlier. So like if it's a close game, I need to start making my way down before the game ends so that I'm there when he gets there, and I'm not walking in late again.
How long did it go for?
Oh, it didn't last very long at all. Actually, like I would say like 30 minutes maybe total, something like that. Um, maybe 10, 15 minutes with Ricky, and then another 10 minutes or so with the players. It might have only been 20, somewhere around there. And after that I walked through the field because it's just quicker to get to where I park. Instead of walking out and walking all the way around, I just walked right on onto the field and I didn't cut across, but so I don't know. That was kind of cool getting to walk on the field. There were little kids out there like playing like two-hand touch on the field, and it was a cool experience. The game was not so fun. The Old Dominion offense doesn't look very good. The quarterback play leaves a lot to be desired. Just slow to make reads, slow to process things. Everything seems like a step behind. The receivers didn't really seem to gain a lot of separation, which doesn't help. Defense played and looked phenomenal. They had four interceptions. When your defense has 4 interceptions and you still lose the game, that's not good, right? I mean, and we did. I don't think we turned the ball over. So unlike we did against South Carolina the week before. But yeah, the game itself was disappointing. But the media access was cool, and said next week or this coming week against Tech, I will be sure to be down there and ready by the time Ricky enters the room and not coming in late. So.
Well, I mean, down note ODU, up note, we've got some players of the week that we need to talk about.
Absolutely.
So as Justice gets that going, I have got my player of the week is none other than running back Ontario Brown, NIU. Last week I went with, the G5 over P4 win on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, we've got, I guess we missed the big news. Rudy has entered the transfer portal. He'll be now going to NIU. He's no longer going to Notre Dame. But yeah, I mean, we got Ontario Brown here, and he just had a huge game, 20 attempts, 99 yards rushing, 2 receptions for 126 yards. I can't remember what his big reception was, but it was the majority of that, and then a touchdown there.
Only like 80 yards, I think, or something.
Yeah, it was a good one. So like, getting that big win against number 5 Notre Dame at the, I think they were. So that's a huge win for NIU, huge win for the G5. And the MAC wasn't looking maybe so hot coming into the season. Hey, they put up a solid win here. I mean, I know NIU is a team that we forecast to be one of the top there in the MAC, but it's a good showing nonetheless.
Absolutely. And for my player of the week, staying with the MAC, baby, tight end Harold Fannin Jr. Had an awesome game for Bowling Green this week. I did get to watch the first half of this game. They were winning that game when I was watching it, and Harold Fannin Jr. was a huge part of that game. 11 receptions for 137 yards and a touchdown there against Penn State. They came up a little bit short, but they played very, very well and could have won that game. I was super impressed with Bowling Green this week, and Harold Fannin Jr. Doing this. Penn State's defense is one of the top defenses in the nation. So, from a talent perspective, anyway, and so to see Bowling Green be competitive, have a chance to win the game, and Harold Fannin Jr. have the game he did, that's just awesome sight for the G5.
Well, and seeing what they did to West Virginia just a week ago and having troubles with Bowling Green, Maction might be fun again. I mean, it's been down the last maybe 2 years or so. I feel like it was
Yeah.
3 years ago. It was pretty fun. But yeah, it could be a fun
Could be back.
Maction types. Yeah, absolutely. Let's move to the defensive side of the ball.
All right. So my defensive player of the week, we just did an interview with him on. We released it last Friday. We did it last week during the week, and it's linebacker Marquise Watson Trent from Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern had a big bounce back after that, close loss to Boise State there in week 1. They come back and get the win week 2 versus Nevada, and Marquise Watson Trent was a big part of that. 14 tackles, 9 of those solo. He's just the leader of that team, leader of the defense as well, and great to see him have an awesome week. Maybe it's because he came on our show, right? Maybe that was the motivation.
Maybe that was it.
Maybe that was the motivation. I don't know. I like to think that. I doubt that's it. Marquise is a great player, but hey, we'll take some credit, I guess.
Absolutely. I went with linebacker Jordan Pollard from San Jose State. He had 17 total tackles, 9 solo, 1 tackle for a loss, 1 pass deflection. Granted, I mean, they're playing Air Force, so they're going to run the ball a lot, so you're going to look to get those tackles. This game, I honestly thought that San Jose State would put up a lot more points. They go on to win this one 17-7, but again, a lot behind linebacker Jordan Pollard. And without his play, maybe this game is closer. Maybe they lose without his play. I think his play was pivotal in that game against Air Force. You got a big Mountain West game, gets you that win in the conference. I think that was a huge game, and hats off to Jordan Pollard.
Absolutely. I mean, they, I didn't know that I necessarily expected San Jose State to win the game, but they went out and did it, against Air Force. Air Force, rebuilding, so to speak, but impressive game, impressive conference win there for the Spartans in week 2.
All right, Justice, what does the Swarm need to know? News and notes from around the league.
All right, so the first thing, and it's big news, the first time we're talking about it, back to Northern Illinois. They are in the AP Top 25. They are the only G5 team in the AP Top 25. They break in at number 25. So hats off to the MAC, hats off to the Huskies, and that huge win over number 5 Notre Dame. Some others receiving votes. Boise State, if you counted the votes, they would be at number 27. Memphis would come in at number 30. Liberty at number 36, and UNLV at number 38. And we're going to talk about it here in a minute, but UNLV's got and Memphis both have some great opportunities coming up this week against Power 4 opponents. If UNLV wins again, that's 2 wins over Power 4 opponents. So hopefully UNLV can pull it off this week. And then
thoughts. I got a question, Justice. Boise State at 27, Memphis at number 30. Boise State barely loses to Oregon. It was a hard-fought game.
Yeah.
Boise played tough. Memphis wins. I honestly have Memphis ahead of Boise State. I get that how they played, But I think we're maybe overlooking like maybe how bad Oregon is. We're just anticipating them to be better than what they actually are. Maybe they will get there by the end of the season, but I think this Oregon team and how they've been playing, we had a hard fought win against Idaho 2 weeks ago. Maybe Memphis is better than Boise, and I think just because it's Oregon, people maybe put Boise like a step up. That's just my thought. Maybe that's not the
Yeah,
case.
I watched some of the second half of that game, and yeah, Oregon did not. I mean, I don't know. They didn't look super impressive. Certainly did not look as good as they did last year. Um,
Absolutely.
Dylan Gabriel. Well, he missed some passes, some big time passes. He missed a touchdown to Stewart. He missed a touchdown to Holden. I don't remember on those particular drives that they end up getting a touchdown anyway, but I remember those two plays. And so yeah, I don't think Oregon is there yet. I think they will eventually get there. But I mean, the thing that impressed me the most, and we'll talk about it then, is Ashton Genty, right? Like he shredded him, man. He looked good. He looked good. Um,
Absolutely.
Speaking of Ashton Genty, a couple interesting facts. So there are 134 Division One FBS football teams. Boise State running back Ashton Genty has more rushing yards than 110 of them. So Ashton Genty by himself has more rushing yards than 110 teams do total. Ashton has 459 yards. Ashton is also the first player with 9 rushing touchdowns in the first 2 games of the season since running back Ricky Williams from Texas. And do you know what Ricky Williams did that year?
Tell me.
Won the Heisman.
Although the Heisman was a different thing back then, but I totally anticipate that Ashton Genty is going to get that call to go to New York. And I think that those
Absolutely.
voters are going to fall in love. We haven't heard the story about Ashton Genty. I guarantee when they get to New York, there's going to be the talk about how he used to go to school in Italy and was mere miles away from where Kobe Bryant went to high school or went to school when his dad was in the military. There will be this whole thing. I can't wait to hear about it. Interesting fact if you didn't know that.
Absolutely. All right, now we're going to get to some injury news. So, East Carolina receiver Chase Sewell, he missed week 1. He was back in week 2. He didn't do a whole lot in the game. From an offensive standpoint, Rahaj Harris was really the only one that kind of stood out to me in that game. Jeff Garcia did not look good. He didn't seem like, from my perspective, to like hyper target one particular player. I think Winston Wright might have led them in targets, but yeah. So Chase Sewell missed that week 1 game due to a hand wrist injury. Wide receiver Jeremiah Ballard, Tulsa, was expected to be a big part of that Golden Hurricanes offense this year. He's going to miss the remainder of the 2024 season with a knee injury. Running back Sutton Smith, Memphis, it was confirmed on Saturday that he too will miss the rest of the season with an injury.
So going back to like what this means, Jeremiah Ballard, Camden Benjamin, going to be that hyper targeted, probably
number 1
number 1
target,
guy.
and I would assume Zion Steptoe is probably the number 2 now.
Yep, and then Sutton Smith. There's a lot of talk that him and Mario would be splitting. They really wanted Sutton Smith to, be that a guy there. Well, maybe this means Mario, all the way here in
Yeah,
2024.
it's good. It's good news for Mario, right? It's probably less time he will be sharing. He did lose some goal line carries to Brandon Thomas, but like that should be expected.
Yep.
Brandon Thomas is kind of the goal line back. That's the role he served
Same, just
last
like
year. But
last year. Yep.
Mario still had 2 touchdowns in the game, and so yeah, it's good news for Mario Anderson, friend of the show as well. So look for maybe even bigger season there for Mario with Sutton gone. Tight end John Michael Gillenborg, Wyoming. He has missed weeks 1 and 2 with a lower body injury. We probably won't know anything again for him until Saturday. So stay tuned. But I don't know. Like I feel at this point, like You don't insert him into a fantasy lineup if that's what your concern is until he shows he's on the field, right? Fullback Dylan Carson from Air Force got injured early in the game week 1. He missed week 2. He was removed from the depth chart prior to week 2, and we don't anticipate him suiting up in week 3 either. Air Force is another one of those that's pretty tight about injuries, but just kind of reading between the lines, we expect Carson could be out for a couple weeks. Quarterback Jack Turner from Louisiana Tech got injured in week 1. They had their bye. They had a bye week this past week. So we'll hear more later in the week to see if he's ready to get that start for Louisiana Tech in week 3. Max Brown, Charlotte. We expected big things out of him this year. Transfer from Florida. Actually had a great from a statistical standpoint. I guess had a good game week 1. But he will miss the game next week against Gardner Webb. It looked like he had like a sling or maybe an air cast on his throwing arm. And Coach Biff said he had a significant injury. And so in his absence, that will be Deshaun Purdy there making the start for the Charlotte 49ers. Torrey Horton left the game versus Northern Colorado with what looks to be, we found out it's a groin injury. Head coach Jay Norvell said today that Horton is sore, but he's hopeful that he'll play against Colorado with that groin strain. So we'll kind of keep eyes on this as they prep for that big in-state rival game with Colorado. Running back Braden Bennett from Coastal Carolina left week 2 injured. It sounds like he could have come back in if they needed him. They were playing FCS William and Mary, and so they just kind of left him out. But we'll see if we hear anything else about Coastal Carolina running backs. But they typically rotate anyway, right? So that's not that shouldn't be too big of a shock to anyone. Spencer Petras, Utah State. He missed week 2 against USC, and it looks like he may miss week 3 as well due to the ankle injury that he suffered in week 1. But he could be back for week 4 against Temple. Bryson Barnes is expected to be the starter in his place.
They play
quarterback.
Utah.
Yeah, they play USC, Utah. So yeah, it's a bummer.
He's got to be pretty mobile.
In-state game.
Yeah. If that ankle's not good, I don't know if you're going to be moving away from that Utah defense. So makes sense.
Quarterback Nick Evers from Connecticut missed week 2 due to a head injury. Sounds like it's going to go up to game time again this week. But Joe Fagnano had a heck of a game in his place, right? And so, you hate to see someone lose their job due to injury, but it happens quite often, and we'll see kind of how that plays out.
I'm trying to remember who do they have. UConn. Who do they have this? Who does UConn have this week? They're P4.
I don't remember, but I feel like it's a pretty good team.
Yeah, it's a pretty good team. So, I think UConn can go a couple different ways depending on if that QB battle went the way that Coach Moore wanted it to go. Like, again, they shouldn't win this week. Again, I can't remember if maybe it's North Carolina or something, but like, if they wanted Fagnano to start, well, maybe they throw Evers out there, and I mean, he didn't look super great in week 1. That then, hey, week 4 we give Joe the start, or if he really didn't want Joe to be the guy, hey, throw him to the Wolves here. See, look, you didn't look very good, Nick. You're back. I think depending on what Coach Moore really wants to do, could play the game a little bit.
So this next piece of news, Jalen Buckley, Western Michigan was playing Ohio State this week, and Jalen Buckley did not play. Haven't really heard anything why. My gut feeling would be, hey, they're playing Ohio State. They didn't want to get their star running back hurt in a game that they felt like they were probably overmatched to begin with, and so they kind of
tell that to NIU. NIU says, I don't care.
Yeah.
I want to go out and win. UConn plays Duke. UConn plays Duke.
And I think Bowling Green kind of did the same thing with Tyrion Stewart, right? He didn't play against Penn State. Maybe I mean, Jason Patterson played in his absence and played well. But again, like I think they're already kind of banged up. I think they're kind of looking more towards, hey, we want this guy to be healthy for MAC conference play, and so I think that was the case, in my opinion, for both Jalen Buckley and Tyrion Stewart this past week. Quarterback Goose Crowder from Troy injured his shoulder on a dive into the end zone against Memphis. There's been no word on the significance of that injury yet, so stay tuned and see if he can get the start this week for the Troy Trojans.
I watched that game, and he wasn't in a sling or anything afterwards. He was just in street clothes. So like that's a good sign as long as it wasn't in a sling.
Yeah.
So
running back Hunter Smith, the presumed running back one from University of Louisiana Monroe, has not played weeks 1 or 2, and we've seen true freshman Ahmad Hardy kind of take control of that running back room. But Hunter Smith is expected back here for week 3, so we'll kind of see how that shakes out between Hardy and Hunter Smith moving forward.
yeah, with being that true freshman, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube at this point. Like especially in the transfer portal era and what ULM has to offer there. I feel like hey, you gotta keep him out there and playing. And also, you're 2-0.
Yeah. Yep. Much. I think a lot of folks surprised, right? I think everyone
Yeah.
expected them to win week 1, but I don't know that many thought that they would go and beat UAB, and they did, and they beat them. They beat them pretty soundly.
Yeah, I watched that for a little bit. Something that people may not know, head coach for U of LM was an interim head coach at UAB. There before, what's his name? Dilfer got the position, and I don't even know if he was interviewed for it. I know it obviously wasn't selected, but that coaching staff that was there, Louisiana Monroe, took that personal, and they took it out on that UAB team this last week. So congratulations to Louisiana Monroe.
Staying down there in the South, South Alabama quarterback Gio Lopez sat out week 2 with turf toe.
This was a shocker.
That
I
was a
did not
shocker.
see this
Like
coming.
that news was not really shared until literally I don't even know if it's shared before the game or
It was like right
after the game
kickoff.
started, or
Yeah.
it's typically what happens in the G5. It's right after the kickoff someone talks about it. But Bishop Davenport got the start. Apparently, Gio did not practice at all last week with that turf toe, and just kind of reading between the lines here, they play early this week. It's another short week. They play on Thursday night, and so I don't know. We don't really anticipate him playing.
They play
again.
at an FCS school, so
Yeah.
I would anticipate they're going to give him another week off. I feel like, I mean, Davenport played well. It was a good game there against Ohio, but yeah, I would anticipate that we don't see him this week.
But if we see anything official, we will certainly let everyone know. As I mentioned earlier, linebacker Jason Henderson did not play for Old Dominion in their game versus East Carolina. I don't know. Like this is just my personal opinion. Like I have no inside knowledge. I don't expect him to play this week, and I don't know. I think when he played in the game in South Carolina, like it was pretty evident he was not 100%. And so my guess is, or what I think they're trying to do is make sure he gets to 100%. When that is, I don't know, right? He does have a red shirt year left. He has never redshirted. So in theory, he could play 3 more games and still redshirt. Now, whether they're going to do that or not, I have zero idea. But I mean, I guess it's just going to depend on when he gets back.
That would
to
be
100%.
that would be very, very hard to beat any of his career stats at Old Dominion if he is able to, if he uses a red shirt and then comes back for another year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if he played this full year, he was probably gonna be the NCAA career leader in tackles. And so I don't know, I'm not sure what motivates him. missing a game, not playing all the game against. So he's almost missed like a game and a half, if not 2 games, and I think it'd be very tough for him to get the NCAA record. I don't think he's going to play this week against Virginia Tech, so that's 3 games. So I don't think he can break the NCAA all tackles record in 9 games. I don't ever want to like bet against him, but that'd be a tall order. Because I think he had to get like 154 or something like that to break the record. Now I will say this: the record holder, like the NCAA record holder, you know how many years he played?
How many?
5, because he had the COVID year. It's
Gotcha.
Carlton Marshall from Troy, but he played 5 years because he had the COVID year. And so, Jason would, in effect, if he does redshirt, would really be doing it in 4 years and not 5 years. And I don't know how much that means to him. I don't know if that's an important factor in his decision making. That there's a potential, I guess, for an NFL career. I don't know. A lot of factors going into that decision, but I don't expect him to play this week against Virginia Tech. Running back Harrison Whaley from Wyoming expected to miss a Week 3 matchup versus BYU. No word on his return, but it seems like things are progressing, I guess, as expected. But we're probably still a couple weeks out from his return.
Yep, that's what I'd say too.
Wide receiver Ty Robinson, Ball State, expected to kind of be the wide receiver 1 there for Caden Samanza and Ball State. He got injured last year, I think, in Week 3, missed the rest of the season. Well, this year he got injured on the first play of the game. Injured his shoulder. He has an MRI scheduled tomorrow, Tuesday, September 10th. So stay tuned for the results of that.
And getting hurt on the first play of the game, they had a bye week 1. So this was the first play of the season,
for Ball State. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And then a little bit of sad news, I guess. I mean, happy for him. This is what he wanted, but linebacker Reggie Peterson announced, I guess midweek last week, Florida International, that he is retiring from football. Was the leader of that defense, the middle linebacker. Probably had a great shot at making all conference team, maybe leading the conference in tackles this year. But for his own reasons, he decided he was done playing football. I read the
it was an interesting Instagram post.
Yeah, I mean, basically, just like he doesn't have the passion for it anymore, I guess, right? I guess that'd be the best way to summarize why he's retiring.
And like the thing that I remember that sticks out about is like the political games that go into it and things like that, and like just I'm not I don't want to go through all the BS anymore. And honestly, going out midweek, I thought Central Michigan would put up more points. FAU kind of handled business in that game.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us tonight. Come back and join us next week as we discuss what happened in Week 3, as well as look forward to Week 4 of the 2024 season. And as always, bring you up to date on all the latest news and happenings in the world of G5 college football. If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. And if you're watching us on X, please give us a retweet, a like, a follow. And if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please subscribe and leave those 5-star ratings and reviews. Thank you all for your support. And until the next time, we are the G5 Hive.